Welcome to a deep dive into a shared experience many of us definitely remember from school, the presidential fitness test. For millions of American students, it was once this federally endorsed measure of youth fitness, a real rite of passage. But looking back, it's actually far more than just a nostalgic gym class memory. It's a fascinating case study in how our society approaches health, competition, and, the whole complex journey of youth development. Our mission today is really to unpack its full story, what it was, why it even emerged under President Eisenhower, why it eventually sort of faded from schools, and crucially, what its lasting legacy means for fitness education today. We'll be pulling insights from comprehensive guides, historical accounts, and even its surprising appearances in pop culture. Yeah, prepare for some unexpected turns and a closer look at the very real emotional imprint this seemingly simple test left. For some, sure, it was a badge of honor, but for others, it was a source of genuine anxiety, maybe even a profound sense of shame. Let's explore this. So let's cast our minds back. The genesis of this benchmark. The Presidential Physical Fitness Test was essentially a series of exercises, pretty straightforward, designed to assess strength, endurance, flexibility, basically the fitness of American youth. It was administered annually, widely adopted in public schools across the U.S. from the 60s into the early 2000s, typically grades 5 through 12, I think.
That's right, 5 through 12. And the goal, ostensibly, was promoting physical education and healthy lifestyles. But what's truly fascinating here is the impetus behind it all. Why start this in the first place? Well, the test was initiated under President Dwight D. Eisenhower back in 1956. He was spurred by a pretty stark revelation, actually. A report came out indicating that American youth were significantly less fit than their European counterparts.
Wow, less fit than European kids.
Yeah, particularly in the post-World War II era. And this wasn't just seen as a minor health concern. It was framed almost as a national security issue, this perception of softness.
Right, the Cold War context, maybe.
Exactly. That played a role. It prompted Eisenhower to establish the President's Council on Youth Fitness. And this council then laid the groundwork for the fitness test, making it a core component of the broader President's Challenge program.
Okay, so it had this quite serious high-level origin. Now, for anyone who experienced this firsthand, the memory of these specific exercises is probably pretty vivid. Let's delve into the specifics. What exactly were the components students faced? What did each aim to measure?
Okay, yeah. The original test covered 5 core areas of physical fitness. You had sit-ups, or sometimes they were called curl-ups, for abdominal strength. Pretty standard. Then for upper body strength, there were pull-ups, or a flexed arm hang, specifically for girls.
Ah, right. Reflecting the standards of the time.
Indeed. Then agility and speed were measured by the shuttle run, that quick 30-foot dash back and forth.
I remember that one. Always tricky turns.
Definitely. Flexibility was assessed with the V-sit reach or the simpler sit and reach. And finally, cardiovascular endurance. The classic 1-mile run.
The dreaded mile run for many.
Quite possibly. And success wasn't just about doing them. It meant achieving scores that were compared against national percentiles for your age and gender.
So hitting those benchmarks, that felt like a real achievement. You mentioned percentiles. Like a 12-year-old boy, for example, might need X sit-ups, Y pull-ups.
Exactly. Specific numbers, a specific time for the mile, a quick shuttle run time, all to meet the standard for his peer group.
And the ultimate prize, if you really excelled, was the Presidential Physical Fitness Award.
That was the pinnacle, yes.
Yeah.
Reserved for students scoring in the top 85th percentile.
85th. Wow.
Yes, and crucially, in all categories, not just 1 or 2.
So you had to be good across the board.
Precisely. This came with a pretty coveted certificate and a special emblem, sometimes even called a Presidential Medal for Fitness, signed by the president himself.
That's quite the motivator, or pressure, depending how you look at it.
Well, yes. And there were also national and participant awards for other commendable performances to acknowledge broader effort beyond that top tier.
So, okay, beyond the official purpose and the awards, what was the actual lived experience? Millions of kids took this test. How did it really impact them on the ground, in the gym?
That's such a crucial point, and it's where things get more complex. Because while some students absolutely saw it as a badge of honor, something to strive for many, many others, it unfortunately became a source of significant anxiety, even dread.
I can imagine, especially if you weren't naturally athletic.
Exactly. The combination of these inflexible, sort of one-size-fits-all standards and the very public nature of the performance, doing pull-ups or running the mile while everyone else is watching, it often led to embarrassment.
Yeah.
Or a profound sense of failure, especially for those who struggled with physical activity. Students who consistently fell short, even if it didn't affect their actual grades, often felt isolated or ashamed. Right there in the gym.
That's rough. So what started as this national fitness drive?
Arguably became, for some kids, a significant barrier. It might have actually put them off developing a positive relationship with physical activity altogether.
Which is the opposite of the intended goal.
Precisely. It's a critical insight, I think, into how well-intentioned programs can sometimes have these unintended psychological consequences.
It's really telling, isn't it, that something so official, so serious in its origins, became fodder for sitcom humor. Like, to illustrate just how deeply and sometimes comically embedded this test was in American school life. It popped up in pop culture quite a bit.
Oh, definitely.
Shows like The Goldbergs, set in the 80s, they humorously portrayed that intense anxiety many students felt. And I think King of the Hill also did a parody of the presidential fitness test, which really just highlights its sheer ubiquity. Everyone knew what it was.
It was part of the shared cultural experience for generations.
Yet, despite its widespread adoption, it's long run. The presidential fitness test, like many established programs, eventually reached a kind of crossroads. As our understanding of youth development, public health, as that evolved, so did the questions around the test itself, what really led to it being discontinued.
Well, the official phasing out in 2013 wasn't sudden. It followed years, really, of growing concerns and a fair amount of research. Critics argued pretty strongly that the test's one-size-fits-all standards, its heavy emphasis on competition over personal improvement, and the potential for shame, that these things actually hindered, rather than helped, the goal of promoting lifelong fitness.
So the focus shifted.
The focus shifted, exactly. The biggest concern became the lack of focus on individual health progress, and increasingly, the mental health implications. Emerging studies started showing that this kind of public comparative testing could actually demotivate students from sustained physical activity.
Wow, counteracting the program's whole point again.
Right. Researchers began to realize that fostering intrinsic motivation, helping kids find joy in movement, building a positive self-image around fitness, that was far more effective in the long run than just measuring raw performance against a national chart.
So it wasn't just about tweaking the exercises, it was a fundamental shift in philosophy. Moving away from that fixed comparative mindset, what specific program then stepped in to replace the presidential fitness test?
Indeed, it was a significant philosophical pivot. The replacement is the Presidential Youth Fitness Program. And this program integrates a different assessment tool known as the FitnessGram test.
FitnessGram, I've heard of that. How is it different?
Well, FitnessGram represents a more modern evolution in fitness evaluation. It really prioritizes health-related criteria over sheer competitive performance. Its components include things like the PACER test, that's the Progressive Aerobic Cardiovascular Endurance Run, the BEEP test.
Ah, the BEEP test, yes.
Alongside curl-ups, push-ups, the sit and reach for flexibility, and also body composition measurement, but handled much more sensitively. The key difference is that this modern approach focuses fundamentally on individual health progress, not national percentiles.
So it's about getting healthier for you, not about beating others.
Exactly. The aim is to support inclusive, health-focused fitness assessments. And it also includes better professional development for educators on how to implement this health-focused approach. This shift wasn't just swapping exercises. It represented a fundamental pivot in educational thinking, moving from comparing, perhaps innate abilities towards fostering a growth mindset where personal progress and individual health are the true measures of success.
That makes a lot of sense. And just to put any lingering confusion to rest, because you do sometimes hear whispers or see things online suggesting a comeback, the original presidential fitness test is absolutely not returning, right? As of 2025, it's still gone.
Correct. That's firmly off the table. The U.S. government continues to champion the Presidential Youth Fitness Program instead. They're reinforcing that commitment to individual health progress, mental well-being, and fostering those all-important long-term healthy habits.
It's quite a journey when you look back, from President Eisenhower's post-war concerns about national youth fitness, all the way to today's more inclusive, health-focused programs. The story of the presidential fitness test really does vividly illustrate how our understanding of physical education has evolved. It moved from a focus on, let's say, a comparative achievement to one that's profoundly centered on individual well-being and cultivating lifelong healthy habits.
Absolutely. And its legacy, I think, undeniably continues to spark vital awareness about youth fitness. It highlights both the potential benefits of such initiatives, the original intent was good, but also the very real pitfalls when applied too rigidly or without considering the whole child. This comprehensive shift, moving from a rigid comparative test to a more holistic, health-based program, it really reflects a broader societal change in educational philosophy. The goal now is much more about aiming to instill sustainable habits, fostering a positive relationship with movement, rather than just chasing those fleeting and sometimes, frankly, demoralizing achievements.
So, bringing it back to you, our listeners, thinking about your own experiences with physical activity, maybe gym class memories, or perhaps observing how fitness is approached with young people today. What kind of approach do you believe best fosters a true and enduring love of movement and lifelong health? Something that goes beyond just the pursuit of a fleeting badge of honor.